NFL Power Rankings going into Week 16 in the National Football League. We run through every team, ranking them 32 through 1, and letting you know what we thought of all of those teams. So let's start at the very bottom. The New York Giants beat down by the Ravens again this week. They're not a good football team and feel like they've kind of locked up this spot at the very, very bottom. At number 31, it is the Tennessee Titans. It really does feel like the Will Levis experience is over. It has gotten ugly. He just isn't improving at any rate. That seems responsible to continue to use him. So it feels like they're going to be in the market for a quarterback here. And we're going to be looking at quarterback situations coming up in a little bit. At 30, it was the Vegas Raiders. Monday Night Football. It was ugly. This team can't move anything on offense. And generally speaking, when the commentators spend the entire fourth quarter talking about how you need everything, and this team is just way behind, and then are talking about, well, at least they're playing hard. That's not a good thing. And so the Raiders lose a hard-fought battle, but a really ugly game closing out the week in the National Football League. At 29, it is the Jacksonville Jaguars. It really takes a special team to make the Jets look good, but Jacksonville pulled it off this week. At number 28, it is the New York Jets, who can't even tank right as they pick up a win here over Jacksonville and kind of move themselves out of a spot where they could do the hilarious thing of drafting a young quarterback with Aaron Rodgers, looking to kind of maybe come back, maybe not, for another season with the Jets. So our bottom five: the Giants, the Titans, the Raiders, Jacksonville, and the Jets. Normally this is where we would look at, well, who here is going to be drafting a quarterback? But right now we're going to skip that because we're looking at a bigger quarterback picture thing coming up a little bit later on here on the show. At 27, it is the New England Patriots. 26, the Chicago Bears. Not an amazing performance on Monday night against Minnesota. At 25, it is the Cleveland Browns. They shouldn't be this high. But there's a lot of awful teams right now. And so while I think they are bad and looked bad on Sunday against Kansas City, it's the Chiefs. They're, contrary to what a lot of people will tell you, they're a good team. So I don't think losing to them is really all that bad. But also, like, they're not worse right now than Chicago. They're not worse right now than New England or the Jets, Jags, Raiders, any of those. This is a team that is bad, but not that bad right now. At 24, it is the Carolina Panthers. A lot came crashing back down to earth this week for Carolina in a really bad performance against Dallas. At number 23, it is New Orleans. Really bad team, but almost pulled out a win this week. 22, it is the Dallas Cowboys, who at least showed some life in their game with Carolina this week. 21, it is the San Francisco 49ers. They should be dropped after an ugly game, but again, too many bad teams to be dropping them right now. At 20, it is the Atlanta Falcons. Again, should be dropped after an ugly game, but too many bad teams right now. At 19, it's the Indianapolis Colts. Again, should be dropped after an ugly game, but too many bad teams right now, which is a really bad thing to be saying when we're getting to 19, but that's where we're at in the NFL right now. The Miami Dolphins are my team at 18. They are, I think, the biggest drop for me this week, coming off of that loss against Houston. And yeah, Houston's a fine team, but it just, it feels done out there in Miami. And then you look at how some of the other teams are playing right now, you look at who Miami beat, and you just have to drop this team down further and further in the power rankings based off of how it is looking once again. At 17, it is the Cincinnati Bengals. 16, the Arizona Cardinals. At 15, it's Houston. Even with a win, I had to drop them. We talked about how there are just too many bad teams. There's also too many good teams and too many teams that just keep passing the Houston Texans by right now in terms of how this all feels from a just power rankings standpoint. This team just, it feels like something is missing out in Houston right now. Into the 14th spot goes the LA Chargers. Bit of a concerning performance against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A, didn't put up a whole lot of offense against a defense that gives up a lot of offense. And then B, defense looked bad when that is kind of supposed to be their calling card. So a bit of a concern there. And it drops them below their division mates, the Denver Broncos, who didn't look great against the Indianapolis Colts, but ended up with a pretty convincing win nonetheless. At 12, it is Washington. Said this on the show on Monday. Feels like it's starting to turn into a pumpkin a little bit, and teams are starting to catch on just a little bit more to what they're doing. Still a very talented team, still a very bright future, but top 10 team in the NFL? Probably not. At 11, it is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Just so impressed with what they were able to do against the Chargers this week. I feel like you have to be excited about what's happening out in Tampa Bay right now. At 10, moving into the top 10, it is the LA Rams, not the purtiest of wins against Brock Purdy, didn't mean to do that, and the San Francisco 49ers, but win is a win. At 9, it's Seattle. I still feel like when these teams are at their best, Seattle beats the Rams. But it is very, very close right now. And the Seahawks, that offensive line is a problem. And there's no way of fixing it now. So they're just going to have to try to survive it as the season rolls on. At 8, it is the Minnesota Vikings. Solid win against a team that they should beat on Monday night. 7, the Green Bay Packers. Said it before that this was finally the Packers team that I was expecting to show up. Finally, we got what we were looking for from this Green Bay Packers team, and because of it now, you start to take them seriously a little bit more in the NFC. At 6, it is the Baltimore Ravens. You don't get to move up when you beat the crap out of the New York Giants. You should beat the crap out of the New York Giants. Our top 5, the teams remain the same, but we have some changes. At 5, it is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like I said before on the show yesterday, this team, I think, showed that they are not among the elites with their loss against the Philadelphia Eagles, but I don't think that they showed enough negatively to drop them down into that Baltimore, Green Bay, Minnesota area. Like, they feel like they are a one-team tier below a couple levels in the NFL right now. At 4, the Kansas City Chiefs. Would be very concerning if Patrick Mahomes couldn't play for the next couple of weeks, but they have some wiggle room atop the AFC. At number 3, the former number 1 drops to 3 as the Detroit Lions lose to the Buffalo Bills, so they fall down to 3. At 2, the Philadelphia Eagles stay put with their win over the Pittsburgh Steelers. And at number 1, it is the Buffalo Bills. You beat the team that was number 1 while also having a win over the team that's number 4. You get to move up even though the team right behind you and the team that was ahead of you last week beat the team that was in 5th. So a couple really good wins for the teams at the top. But the Buffalo Bills are the new team at the very top of the NFL power rankings going into week 6.